Hey lovelies, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to our collective reading. Thank you so much for the comments and likes and subscribes. Any interaction with the channel is great. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to let you know that after a period of time, my personal readings are up and available on Etsy again. And so those are available in the comments. There's a link there to my Etsy channel if you'd like to purchase one of those. So we're going to get started here. We're starting with Moonology. Again, it's a general reading, so take what works, leave what doesn't. Not every part of this will be relevant for every person, most likely. All right, a new romantic cycle begins, new moon in Libra. So a new relationship or a new part of a relationship, it could be like a friendship where you're acquaintances and then something shifts it into more of a friendship or yeah, it's a new, so we're talking about a relationship. We're talking about some kind of relationship here. It's a balanced relationship. So actually, I tend to read this as a new relationship begins or a new relationship cycle. It's a new moon in Libra, so it's balanced. Where it's a place we've never been before. It's a new, well, that's indicated by new, but it's not like this refreshed cycle and here we go again. It's a new place. We don't necessarily know where things are going to go, so it's important to keep an open mind. It's important to allow ourselves to be surprised, and the potential is really there for some balance, give and take. It's giving Six of Pentacles. All right, conclusions are within reach. This is interesting. Now, how does this relate to a new relationship cycle? Like something closes off. Maybe you had doubts about a person. Maybe you weren't quite sure if you could trust them. Maybe you weren't quite sure where this was going. But it's like something is decided and is firmly in place. And then now we can go into a new relationship level or a new thing. Like maybe you have a working relationship with someone and then you start hanging out socially more, or maybe you have a friendship and then you take it to a new level. There's all sorts of different ways that can work out for individuals. But yeah, so it's like you're deciding something about a new, maybe even the whole relationship is a little newer for you too, but you're sort of making up your mind. And of course we can always unmake up our mind later, but for now you're making up your mind, you know, given evidence and things that come forward and truths and how we get to know someone. So full moon eclipse and new moon in Libra. Oh, both of those are pretty dark energies, a lot of unknowns there. And it's interesting with the full moon eclipse being a conclusion, because it's like, it's almost like an occlusion. So like a turning point event, begins a new era of some sort of relationship you're having. A turning point event, right? Because it's the full moon, but it goes into eclipse. Maybe there's something that goes dark for a minute, and in darkness, in a crisis point, it does seem like a crisis point sort of moves something into a different era. And that crisis point, something is actually seen, which could not be seen in the full light of the moon. Okay, well, we just got the one from the Oracle of Mystical Moments here. And this is fascinating. Treasured memories. It's like in this darkness you saw something. And so when the light returns, you have a new perspective. And treasured memories, is this, there's something from, well, obviously it's something from the past, something that you've enjoyed, something that you've held on to. Yeah, this cloud. It's going to be interesting because I've got tiger breathing bear's decks out here. And he has a lot of clouds in his deck, so it'll be interesting. So this all has to do with some past experience. Maybe you understand something about someone from your past and are able to sort of come to some sort of understanding point, and then move into a new cycle where they're, not on the pedestal, or they're not on the, because when people fall off their pedestal in our minds, like, it's pretty, it's an eclipse. It's like, okay, you're down. Okay, yeah, actually now you're a person. You're not on this pedestal. You're not up here above me. You're actually on the same level as me. We're just equals here, right? And this Libra card giving this equal energy, this equals. Could be someone from in the past where you're having some new understandings about them, but it's a treasured memory, something you've held on to. You haven't forgotten anything or anybody. You've held on to something. And a new perspective, but that descent off a pedestal, that's what I'm seeing here a little bit, is this descent off a pedestal is like, it's an eclipse. It is a big deal. But it has to do with someone from your past. And it creates equality between you. All right. Oh my God. I can't stop with Tiger Breathing Bears decks. They're so entertaining. So he sent his Under the Shell Oracle deck. And so we've got 4 cards from his Under the Shell Oracle deck. So we'll just, so signs. So this isn't like, signs to me tells me that this isn't something that's totally out of the blue, or like, whoa, what's happening here? It's like, you've seen signs. Maybe you didn't understand. Maybe you don't understand the signs. Maybe you haven't understood the signs. But this card is almost to me like a promise that you will understand the signs. You will understand what you've seen. You've already seen something. That's what it's saying to me. You've already seen something, but you didn't understand what you were seeing. And then we have, and signs and worry and dog balls. Yeah, we got dog balls out here. Signs and worry. So maybe you've been worried about something. Something's been on your mind. And maybe 2 things are true at the same time. Signs and worry. So you've seen signs that have made you worried about somebody or something, or maybe you're worried about something. You've seen things that you don't understand, and it's causing some worry. Sort of like when our significant other, so their behavior changes, and we get like, what's going on? And so we've seen something, we've noticed something, but it's creating an imaginary catastrophe. All sorts of things that can go wrong, like this check engine light coming on. You're very worried about something, and there's signs. Oh yeah, like I've got a car that's definitely throwing up some signs about it not wanting to go on anymore, and it has me very worried. So something like that, some signs that have you very worried. And so it's like this and that can happen at the same time. There are 2 things going on. This can both be a good thing and a bad thing. Your memories with somebody, and maybe your relationship with that thing is changing. Hey, Jack. And then we've got dog balls. So this just doesn't sound like, here, I'm going to have to, like, this just doesn't sound fun or great. They seem a little, Jack, no. They seem a little sweaty. And not unpleasant. Oh my gosh, we've got worry, unpleasant signs. Yeah, interesting, because the rest of this was really hopeful. We were out here with this, a new cycle begins. This is exciting, give and take, something begins, but there's this ending, or there's I feel like it's both good and bad. It's both treasured memories and some bad memories mixed in there. Yeah, you're worried about, maybe even you're worried about health, or you're worried about hygiene in some way, and there have been some signs about your health and you're worried, but it seems like something's closing out to be improved. There's improvement. And I like how we've got the two dog balls and the card here. So it just seems like maybe there's two things that are being balanced, getting more balanced in your life. But there's a lot of worry around this. And I think it's difficult to understand the signs and like what you're seeing here. All right, let's move on to these cards. Yeah, the cards that came out from Tiger Breeding Bear's Oracle deck were not good. They don't leave me feeling great here. But there's sort of this promise of something new, fair, reciprocal going on. So maybe you didn't see the sign, like the stop sign, and now you're really worried about the consequences. And it kind of sucks. There could be a bit of a justice vibe here because we do have these scales of justice going on here. All right. Oh, overall, mom. But that's an empress. That's the empress overall. Abundance, sitting in repose, relaxed, able to provide, able to care for others. And it almost seems like an identity too. Like, who are you? What's your identity? And the way it's sitting on the table, it's right on top of this treasured memories. So maybe you have treasured memories of your own mom. Maybe you're having treasured memories of your own experience of motherhood. If you've been a mother, really good memories there. Maybe you were both a good mom and a bad mom, which every mom is. And maybe it's also on top of and. So, you know, as we forgive our mothers for not being who we wanted them to be, we also forgive ourselves, especially if we're parents. That whole cycle continues on, and we can also like bring up more forgiveness for ourselves too, for our failures. All right, past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. All right, well, this deck is so fun. And I'm so easily like shocked and like, oh my goodness, what is this? So, complete a fire. We have King of Wands here. But this is in the past. This is a charismatic leader, only he's a sad little clown here. He doesn't want to play his guitar. He doesn't want to play this song anymore. This is interesting. Like because Tiger Breathing Bear's deck here, the complete, it's like a mastery. There's nothing new to learn. And I think that this person, this very creative person, doesn't have a lot of places to go now. They may be, like, creative people love learning things. They want new things. They want exciting things to come in and feed their imagination and feed their creativity. So this complete of fire just... He's like, yeah, I need to do the thing, and I don't really want to do the thing. I'm not, because I know how it goes. I know how it plays out. It's old. It's already played out. I've done this all before. It does kind of match this. We have 9 of Flowers again this time, so it does kind of match that energy there. So it's played out. They were there, and I think you can also see a parent figure, male or female, as being this sort of complete of fire, as this person who who inspires. Like, yeah, they're like officially and legally like head of household on the tax forms, but also they're like inspiring. And but this one just seems like I did it. I completed this inspiring path. I completed this project, and to continue doing it would be beating a dead horse, or some other better vegan metaphor for that. But to continue doing that would just is not inspiring, because they did it and they completed it and they did a great job, and there's not a lot more for them to learn here, which is really important to the creative process and creative people. So even if there is more to learn, the feeling that there isn't more to learn can really be a little bit depressing. So he's kind of a sad clown, like he already knows it all, and this person isn't happy knowing it all. They need exploration. So that's someone you dealt with in the past. Current situation, custodian of arrows. Again, mom card. Oh my gosh. Wait. Yeah, it's Queen of Swords. Someone's a bit of a bitch here. Oh, wow. Look at this arrow. They're a know-it-all. They're a know-it-all. I don't like know-it-alls. They're a know-it-all, but they're about to get burned by that. Like, oh, I know everything. Yeah, and it's interesting because these arrows are everywhere here, even when it's not an arrow card, giving instructions. So it's like the teacher gets sick of this. Like, custodian of arrows is Queen of Swords. So I always think of that as like someone who's just, I had never really thought of it as a know-it-all. It's very extroverted, but that's what it's coming across here, and it makes total sense. And now I want to go back and read all the Queen of Swords as know-it-alls, or people that are very eager to share their opinion as truth, as fact. They know what they're talking about, and they don't, I mean, there's a time and a place for that. You know, if you have like a creative coach or something like that, and they come in and they're like, oh, no, try it this way, do it this way. You don't want them being like, okay, compliment sandwich, here it comes. You really good. This sucked, but this is also really good. Like, you just want clarity. You want someone to come in and be like, yeah, not that, but do that. That's great. Okay, moving on. You know, especially if you're paying for their time, like a consultant or something. You just want them to be very clear, to the point, and then great, I learned what I needed to learn and I'm on. So right now, maybe you're in a custodian of arrows mode where you're like, oh, I know the answer. Yes, this is complex, but I know the answer. But it's not. This is someone who's raising their hand to get attention, to declare their truth and the answer. But there's something about it that is just not going to go well. There's going to be a difficult moment, maybe daggers. It's unappreciated. So whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it, there's some sort of like, I have the answer that is very unappreciated right now. So maybe you're dealing with someone who's a little depressed, or feels like their career is over, or something's over. And whatever role you're playing in this, whether that's you, and that we described you and where you've been, or we're describing somebody else, trying to refrain from being like, I know the answer, I know what you should do, I know how to fix this, I know how to, that's not gonna work. That's gonna either be felt as very painful or be very painful for the other person, or you're gonna get slapped down of like, nah, I know what I'm talking about. I really don't need your little truth coming in here. So yeah, there's a bit of difficulty between those two, I feel like, where one's just a real creative energy and a person who's very creative that's kind of doesn't know where to go from here. And then someone who's trying to jump in and tell them exactly where to go, even though they're not equals. They're somebody that's not an equal here. They're trying to tell them where to go. But they don't know because they've never been there. So it's kind of silly, but we all do it and sometimes it is useful to say something about what someone else should do, and they're like, that was information 10 years ago that I had. Like, I'm in some other place, and not to say it's all a hierarchy, of self and information and growth. But it's just, yeah, I think this custodian of arrows, someone's coming in as like a teacher's pet, goody two shoes, know it all. I can almost hear a nasally voice back there, kind of cliche about that. So, inner landscape, what do you want? 6 of arrows. You want to move on. You want to get out of here. It's hopes, fears, and inner landscape. But I want to say, like, you just want to move on from this and from this conflict too, from this, like, it's like this person's blurting out answers, but I'm not sure they're welcome. And I'm not sure they're answers. They're answers that the person can see from their place in life, but they're not relevant to everybody else, right? We all have these different experiences. And there's this old story about like these blind monks and an elephant, and each blind monk had like part of the elephant to touch and experience. And then they're asked, like, what is an elephant? And the one with like the right foot is like, it's like this, and describes the right foot. One with the trunk is like, no, what are you talking about? It's like this. So I feel like we have these different life paths and life experiences, and like we know our experience right here. You know, I know this, I know the trunk, I know the tusk, I know the leg, I know the tail. Like and so then we're like, no, I know what an elephant is. And we all have just this little piece of the puzzle here. But you have a piece of the puzzle, I have a piece of the puzzle, your piece is not my piece is not your piece, but we do know. But when we sit there and we say we know for sure what the entire elephant is like based on our experience, that's where it goes awry. And that's where this custodian of arrows is getting under my nerves. It could even be me, because I have moments where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going on here, and I maybe don't. I'm missing information. I'm speaking from my experience, and I have an authoritative sense of my experience and what I've experienced in life, but not someone else's. So this is where bringing other people and working with other people and listening to other people is really important. This custodian of arrows does not want to listen at all. So you want to move on. You're like, oh my gosh, stop it. Let's just move on from this, like, I don't feel good, nothing's right. I know what you need to do. Like, let's just, this conflict between these two modes and these two places of being. You just want to move on. Peace, quiet, hit the road, get out of here, get out of town. Maybe you literally do want to get out of town for a while. We've got an arrow, and we're just like, someone's shooting arrows at you as you go. You know, you're sort of like being run out of town in a way, feeling like that. Maybe that's not really what's going on, but it's like, I just want to have a peaceful little drive. I know. Yeah, I know where this is. So I just want to have this peaceful little drive out into the country, and I just want to go out to the country, eat some peaches. Yeah. And that's what you want to do. That's your goal. That's your dream. Peace, quiet, shh, rest. No more of this. What's at issue? Ace of Flowers. It's interesting. There's a lot of arrows. There's 4 arrows. So that means that this is a lot about communication, talking, and information. This reading is about information. So this Ace of Flowers, Ace of Cups, it's no new beginning, which makes me think you're the complete of fire. There's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Some things, there's a loss, there's depression, and it doesn't have to be you. If you're close with someone who's depressed, that's a big deal too. Like, that can be really hard to deal with. So there's like a depression or a loss, an emptiness, a death perhaps. And maybe these treasured memories, right? So this is in the upright. We have this cloud. I told you the cloud was going to come out here. Yeah, he doesn't mess with the cloud. So this cloud, but we have it upside down. So that's why we're seeing the signs and the both. And we have treasured memories, but also some really bad memories here too. This is sadness, and it could be a loss of the treasured memories. And again, this mom role, it could be a loss of the mom role, or a loss of it can be relationships, a loss of a brand new relationship, or the lack of a new relationship. Maybe you've been single for a long time. Your friends are all like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And you're like, oh. Ace of Flowers, like it's not new. There could be depression, there could be, not able to get pregnant, or even the metaphor of that, of not being able to get a project going, not doing that. Like mom, you want to give birth to something, you want to create something, you want to be creative with this mom card here, the Empress card here, and here that's not happening, or there's not a new relationship, or you're not able to connect with somebody. Yeah, you're not able to connect with someone. It could be someone new too, or just a disconnect or a depression or something. In your environment, you have begin of arrows. So this is the Page of Swords. They're just learning. You have like a student. Maybe someone's going back to school. This has child vibes for sure, but we don't know if they're an actual child or just sort of the metaphor child of a certain industry or a certain place. But this begin of arrows, they're starting to look at something, starting to understand. They're starting to see something. So if you're working with somebody else, and this all has very strong relationship vibes, if you're working with someone else, they're starting to get it. They're starting to see. They're starting to pick up on something. They're starting to learn about something. If they are going to go off to college at some point soon, they're starting to research the colleges. They're starting to understand what this process looks like. They're starting to figure something out. They're starting to think about majors. There's, and then the metaphor just expands. And we can be a beginner at any point in our life. I mean, that's in some ways why this Complete of Fire has a frowny face on, because he's not the beginner. This is the exciting part, when you're like, oh, what's this? Oh my goodness. So, but no matter what age we are, we can start something totally new and be a total beginner. But this is a very intellectual process that this person is going through. The Page of Swords to me is the student vibe. This is literally a student. This is someone going to school. This is someone reading up, researching something. And that's sometimes the anecdote for this. But I'm not going to be your custodian of arrows and be like, that's what you need to do. Because this is not you. This is somebody else. Maybe it is your child, and they haven't had a new beginning, or they haven't had a relationship, but they're figuring something out. They really are. They're getting it done. They're figuring it out. They're learning for themselves. They have to see it for themselves. They can't just be told something. They've got to see it and learn it for themselves. You can lead a student to a microscope, but you can't make them see, right? You don't know even outside of that microscope. So this feels very private to me. Outside of the microscope, you have no idea if they were able to properly focus it for their eyes, for their vision, if they were able to, what is going on inside that microscope. This person is looking very closely at something, learning a lot, and I think it's very private. I think you don't know about it, and I think it's coming out in this reading for you. The Complete of Fire just feels a little cynical. But this begin of arrows is somebody who is just beginning. There's very much parent-child vibes here. And from the beginning, we got mom, we've got empress, parent-child vibes. This could be, roles could be reversed, right? We've got the and here, and I feel like roles could be reversed where you're learning something and the parent, no, your parent, anyway, anybody could be anybody, but this begin of arrows is definitely not you. This is not you. This is somebody else. And to me, it feels very private and intimate, and they're seeing something with their own eyes. And you don't need to explain it to them. They're getting it. They understand something, and they're just learning about it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. It's so exciting. So, your to-do list, 2 of arrows. Oh my goodness. No. This is interesting. This 2 of arrows is very interesting because typically it's a blocked card. It's a no card. And I can really relate to this. I am terrible with chopsticks, having tried them my whole life and followed every instruction everybody's given me and still flinging stuff around. I will often give up and just use my hands if that needs to happen. But this 2 of arrows, it's interesting. It's a physical learning process here today, though. It's learning how to communicate. It could be not communicating either, because maybe you have been the custodian of arrows and you've been like, ooh, I know what you need to do. I know how to do this. And this is like, let them figure it out themselves. You figure out your own stuff. You figure out how to deal with your stuff here and your things right here. You figure that out. But I'm getting a real strong vibe of don't interfere. Don't say the things. If you've been prone to like, oh, I know what you need to do, especially as a parent, it's kind of your job. It feels like your job. Society tells you it's your job. But this is like, let them figure stuff out. Don't interfere. Don't get involved. But it's a learning process for you too, because the Two of Arrows is not a group project either. It's very much you taking care of yourself. But it's like you don't need to have all the answers. Trying to reconcile it with like the traditional Two of Arrows, which is like intuition's back here. You kind of have an idea about something, but it's not time to move. It's not time to go on that. And that's sort of what I would see here is it's not time to move on something. Wait, pause, say no. This isn't time to say anything. But this one's saying like that's a learning process for you. You may be very worried. You may be seeing signs, though, that this person is doing something. This may be something you're very worried about, and that's why you've been jumping in maybe with a lot of answers. But this is to sort of hold back. And I think you have to, again, I feel like this message comes through again and again, especially with this deck. You have to figure out your own stuff. This isn't something you're donating to someone else. This isn't a skill to donate. This is still something you're working on and practicing. Possible outcome. Woo-wee! We got a happy ending right here. 9 of Flowers. So you're going to be really happy with yourself. Like this other person's off here doing their own thing. It's private. You're learning a new skill, and I think it's a skill about shutting up and not being the know-it-all here. And I think that you're going to be super happy with yourself. You're going to get it. You're going to figure this out. You're going to get how we both guide people, new coworkers, children, our offspring, anybody new at a thing, like how we learn to guide them without necessarily being overbearing or too overly direct. So you're going to be very happy with yourself. Very happy with yourself here with the 9 of Flowers, but it's going to require a lot of restraint for now. A lot of restraint right now is going to produce a lot of happiness later. So you are restraining and refraining right now, but it's going to be really good later. You're going to be really happy about it. You're going to be excited about it. You're not going to regret learning the skill and refraining from these things, from blurting things out or just being really direct or being very automatic, I want to say. Always such an adventure with these decks. I'm so grateful for them because they've opened up new stories. They've opened up ways of seeing things. They've opened up just a whole new way of interacting with tarot for me. It's so cool. It's exciting for me. All right. In some ways, we could see this as this deck. Like, here I am. I know these cards. I have completed this understanding, you know? And then I'm like, yep, I know. And then now there's like this learning process, observation. That's really also what's going on with this other person. They are observing very closely and very carefully. They're just at the beginning, though. This isn't, we haven't, conclusion is within reach, but it's not here. All right, these cards. All right, this one. The way these decks interact is really something else. So here, following close on the heels of our 9 of Flowers, our 9 of Flowers here is Beaver Spirit. So that's great. Lay a solid foundation. So, really get this down. Practice, repeat. Lay a solid foundation. Yeah, especially it feels like groundedness in an emotional landscape. So you be grounded. If you're not the one that's like discovering, learning stuff, if you're not the one that's experiencing the depression, especially, there's a sense of you be grounded, you be clear, you be secure, right? Because we're building a dam, we're building something within this flowing water. So don't rush it. Don't rush it. Oh, that could be what this is too. Don't rush it. There's a lot to learn here. There's a lot of steps to the process. Don't rush through this. And then we have 38, lizard spirit, dream the world into being. So imagination, very important. And there's also a sense of passivity too, of just, it's your nature. It's your nature to dream. It's your nature to vision. It's your nature to imagine. And there's something about that that helps with this solid foundation. So there's this ethereal energy and this very grounded energy. I'm very happy with this solid foundation here because I don't think we have any earth cards. Nothing very concrete here. It's all very airy and energy and knowledge and emotion and not a lot of concrete. So this beaver foundation is talking about, I feel like beginning that. Ah, stag spirit, take the lead. Setting the tone. It's interesting with this Two of Arrows that has this restraint card or this learning process card. But Stag Spirit has you sort of, I think it has you laying the solid foundation, especially for this new relationship cycle. It seems like maybe you know what you want and you're speaking up about it. How's that jive with this restraint? Okay, maybe it's just a separate little thing. Okay, and then 14, chameleon spirit. Oh my gosh, I love how the lizard and chameleon came out together because I was so confused when I saw this because I thought I was like, wait, I think that these are yeah, that's not the quote I remember seeing on that card, and it's because I was seeing this other card. So act as if you're not worried, act as if everything's fine, act as if this is okay, or something. Act as if you don't need to act as if everything's going to be okay if you don't fuss with it all. I don't know. Act as if, and this is really important too. This is about acting. This is about imagining being a character that can handle whatever situation you're in, and imagining being able to do that, and acting as if, oh yes, I can handle anything. Oh yes, this is fine. This is great. And getting a power from that, and that being really important here. Not faking, but just also, especially if we're leveling up here, acting as if we can handle this, or this is fine. I see that. I see that supported here. Dream the world into being and act as if, take the lead. Maybe it's even acting as if you do know what you're doing and acting as if you are the leader. I don't know how that jives with this, because this was coming off as a little bit obnoxious. This is keeping your mouth shut. Oh. Especially if there's like bad news for somebody else or something like that, keeping your mouth shut. All right, well, hopefully this was helpful for you. Jack's ready for his dinner. Hopefully this is helpful. Anyway, thanks for showing up here, you guys. Thanks for all of your support and your comments and likes and all of that. It's super helpful for the channel. Really helpful and encouraging for me too. I very much appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.